the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of June 1st, 2020. We made it to June. Every week we chat about the things parents are talking about, complaining about, and obsessing about right now. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Holeko.
Hello.
This week we are complaining about how this pandemic has changed us and obsessing about how it's changing everything else. We're also taking a couple of breaks for an entertainment discussion and a recommendation roundup. Today, we're talking about virtual graduation and congratulating Catherine's daughter for virtually getting her, well, has she got her diploma like in the mail or something? But
yeah, she has a cover.
There was a parade.
She has a diploma cover, not a diploma.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was that like? Tell us what graduation is here in 2020 in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it actually turned out pretty well. I mean, I still think they all would have preferred, to get to go to the prom and go to Great America and have their ceremony and all those things.
Aww.
But they did several things for the kids, for the graduating class. So they did a car parade through town. Ooh. Which was really fun, and I think the kids really appreciated it. So everyone gathered at the high school on the morning of the day that they were throwing the virtual graduation, right? So the day that had been on the calendar all year for graduation is what they did. So they were encouraged to decorate the cars and to have a driver so that they could be waving and, not paying attention to driving. So I drove my daughter, and she mostly stuck her head out of the sunroof of my station wagon. But it was really fun. I mean, there was no social distancing in the parking lot beforehand. I mean, the instructions said, come to the parking lot to line up. They did, right. and I believe they did say stay in your car, but no one did. So, but people turned out. I mean, there were people lined up all along the route, cheering and clapping and holding signs, and it was really very sweet. And the teachers from the high school stood near the school so that they could all wave and say goodbye, because I guess another tradition that they didn't get to do was walking through the halls of the school and saying goodbye to the teachers.
Yeah.
So they did that. And I mean, they were just people really turned out, and the kids were very impressed. And, I mean, at one point we heard a little girl say something like, "Is that the Queen?" when we passed by. So she was very touched. And, she said, "I can't wait to go past the neighbors. I feel like they're going to be outside." And they were. And, our one neighbor was jumping up and down and yelling. so that was
That's kind of more individual attention than what you would get at a graduation ceremony, I think.
Yeah. And, it finished up in the downtown block, and they have a PA system down there. Yeah. So they played Pomp and Circumstance. And then also a couple blocks before that, I think it was just the neighbors. I don't know if it was any sort of official, I don't know who did it, but there was a ladder truck that had a big banner, and they were also playing Pomp and Circumstance there, and they had balloons. And so people really went all out. And, we went past the library where my daughter works. So all of her coworkers were there, cheering for her. And it was really very, very cool. So now, of course, everyone's well, we should do this every year. Which I don't know how these seniors are wait a minute, this was supposed to be our special thing because we didn't get to do anything else. So, yes. But it was a lot of fun. And then in the evening, when they did the virtual graduation, they put it up on YouTube, and it was pre-recorded speeches from the principal and the superintendent, 2 student speakers, and the president of the Board of Ed. And they all spoke. and the Board of Ed guy was like, it's 9 days ago. He acknowledged the whole weirdness of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they also had pre-recorded the orchestra and band students playing Pomp and Circumstance, and
nice.
they showed it, in their like Zoom boxes, right? I mean, it was like
Oh, yeah.
a grid of all the musicians playing. So we were having fun, like picking out people we knew from that.
Cool.
So they played that, and then they kept cutting away from that to more pictures of the graduates because the kids were asked to submit sort of a less formal photo that they used for the processional. For some reason, my daughters didn't get shown. We don't know what happened.
No.
But there were many, many, many pets that appeared in these pictures, and it was super cute. There were dogs, cats, a couple of horses, and a potbelly pig.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoyed that quite a bit. So that was with Pomp and Circumstance, all those pictures being displayed. And then the speeches, and then they did basically a big slideshow of all the graduates. And this was using photos that they had taken at the school when they picked up their caps and gowns. So there were a few that you could tell they just used their like school ID picture because they didn't show up. But mostly it was from that. And then they had the person's name and a little sentence about their future plans, which, you don't get that in a regular graduation.
Yeah.
And, most of them were pretty straightforward, but there were a few like, I don't know. One person wrote, heck if I know. And I'm sure there were more that were censored. But So they announced each person's name and showed their slide. And then at the end, they did a recessional where they were asked to submit a video of throwing their caps in the air. So then they played those, and instead of doing them like one at a time, they did like usually 3 or 4 side by side on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So somebody did a lot of editing work to put this together. So
Did they have credits at the end so you could know who was responsible?
Yeah, I think they did have some credits at the end. So, and my daughter had a very small gathering of 4 friends to watch it with her.
Aw.
So it was, I think that they had a good time. It was a good day, I will say.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah. And I saw Gabrielle Blair at Design Mom reported recently about her daughter's virtual graduation, which was very different. So, people are finding different ways to do it. Like theirs was Zoom, which seems really, really unwieldy to me. I mean, the way she described it, it sounded like it worked fine. But for our kids, the YouTube sort of slideshow presentation, I think, worked pretty well.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I wonder if, and if not, I'm surprised that they haven't, yearbook companies have jumped on this, like, here's a template for your virtual graduation, and you just put the photos here, 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 and here.
Right.
Like you can do with, I've designed a yearbook based on the software provided by the company, and you just, you slide things over. And because, there's certainly a lot of these going on, and I bet somebody's coming in with, not every high school has a parent or a department who can put together something nice looking.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I know with the standard yearbooks that all those had to be done by February.
Right.
So there wasn't any time for this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah. But the yearbook companies also now have nothing to do if they've printed all the books. So they're like, here, for an extra X number of dollars, we will provide you with a video package for your graduation.
Yeah.
If they didn't, they shoulda. Missed opportunity.
I think the photo companies might capitalize on that.
Right. Yeah. Somebody's going to get on top of that.
Yeah.
And,
something's going to happen.
Next year, even if they have a real graduation, somebody will still think it's a good idea to have one of these as well.
Well, and the thing is that, people all over the country could watch it.
Right. That is cool.
And they said that they're going to leave it up on YouTube for 2 weeks. I'm like, why don't you just leave it there? Why do they need to take it down? I don't
Yeah.
Like
That sounds like somebody who has no understanding of the way the internet works.
right.
Right.
Well, we'll leave it up until everybody's seen it, and then we'll take it
Yeah,
down.
why-
No,
Which
it lives
is so,
forever.
or is it privacy issues?
I mean, maybe just because it has everybody's like, this is where I'm going to college and stuff, but
Right.
Could be.
Right.
But 2 weeks is enough for
somebody to do
steal your
something
private
nefarious with it. Exactly. So
you'd have to make it password protected,
Mm-hmm.
private
and
screening
then all the
room.
grandmas and grandpas like, why can't it open up?
Yeah, I think that ship will have sailed. They might as well just leave the thing up. But
Yeah, I don't see a reason for them to have to take it down. I mean, I'd like to go back and look at it again. So,
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
So that was how they did it. And,
Fun.
People were very, very disappointed when they announced that it was going to be virtual
Mm-hmm.
because for a long time, the principal had been saying that he really, really wanted to do it in person, and that even if he had to do it in December, they would do it. But I guess he finally was like, okay, it's just not feasible. And
Right.
they made the decision to do it virtually and to allow themselves enough time to put it together.
They've been agitating here in New Jersey to be able to have in-person graduations, and the governor finally said, yes, you can, after July 6th, and here are all the rules. And it's pretty hilarious to look at all the rules and imagine what sort of thing that they will be able to come up with. Because if you have a large graduating class, you have to have multiple graduations and disinfect in between. You can only have so many, they say find the largest stadium you can find because everybody has to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And, you can't throw up your cap. I'm sure you can't throw a beach ball because what if it hits somebody in the face and then somebody else in the hands and then suddenly you're spreading it all over the place. And, you can't have live choral singing because nobody can share a microphone. You can't have more than like 2 people on the dais. Everybody has to, limit the number of people who are there. I'm like, at some point, the virtual one's going to be much nicer. Really, the
virtual one was better than that for sure.
But now I see in the paper that our school superintendent here in my town says that they are going to have a virtual one, a drive-by one, and also an in-person one. So everybody can, I guess, choose their level of viral comfort. So maybe I'll be reporting back on that. I don't have a kid graduating, but I have a front row seat to the high school here by my window, and I'm sure I will be hearing on Facebook lots of pros and cons. So it will be, if they do it here, it will be end of June or early July. So maybe I'll report back on that. But sounds like yours was very sweet and very nice and will be special for them.
Yeah, it was well done. So we appreciated it, the effort. And I'm not entirely clear on whose idea was the parade and who organized it, because it may have been a parent with, the stamp of approval from the school, obviously.
Right.
So it was nice. So we appreciated it, and
thanks for reporting back on that after our discussion.
And she feels good about it. In the end, she feels good about it.
She does. Yeah. She's happy. So
good.
That's what's important.
Yeah. So we'll move on to complaining later in the week. But for today, we're in a good mood, and that'll be it for today's round 1. Tune in tomorrow for entertainment themed round 2, and then later in the week to find out what we're complaining about, obsessing about, and recommending right now. We're always interested in what you have to say, so drop us a comment on our website, our Facebook page, or Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.